What's up, YouTube? You know, I never understood the people who say, "What's up, YouTube?" as if YouTube is this single entity that you're speaking to, when really it's just a bunch of individuals. In this case, it would be your subscribers, right? Well, in my case, it would be... God, I don't even know where I'm at now. 160 subscribers. So, to all 160 of you that I'm spamming right now, probably after my performance in this video, it will probably be less than that. Those of you who hang on, keep on trucking. So, I realized, shit, I never made a Dreadful Pickups video for March. So, I'm kind of playing catch up. I just did that Lonnie VCLT video, and so I'm going to just proceed from there and show you some stuff I picked up since then. Stuff that's been kind of like gathering dust in the corner that you all need to know about. I'm in a silly mood, I guess. I don't know. Anywho, so let's see what I got to show you for today. First things first, I've been blessed with people sending things my way. So, in this particular case, I want to give a shout out to Eli. You know him from Dark Hymns from the Cold North. So, check out his channel if you're not subscribed. Eli, very awesome dude. We do communicate back and forth and, discuss various things that we like. I send him a recommend. You know, he'll send something my way, which is pretty cool. One of the great things about being in this YouTube community, was one of those fellas that, I got to know, and really cool guy. He also has a really cool dog. Hi, Louie. Anyway, so what I like about Eli is that he's kind of like me, where we're not the biggest wordsmiths when it comes to trying to describe things or whatever, but he's very passionate and it really shows. And he's been trying to really do some interesting things with his channel and show a little more variety of stuff other than just being, here's my pickup, this is great. Here's the next thing, this is great. So he tries to be a little more insightful. So I try to do a little bit of that, doesn't always come across, excellently. But, we do what we can. So Eli sent some things my way, and just a couple small items I thought I'd show that he thought I would enjoy. Again, first things first, he did send me some coffee, which is from, I never heard of them. So this is from Idaho, where he's located. So I think he works for them. So this is DOMA Coffee Roasting Company. So he sent me some beans. This one's called Carmelas. Brown sugar, dark chocolate, caramel. I'm an addict when it comes to caffeine, so flavor is not my number one priority. But this one here is not screaming huge flavor. It's just subtle enough to bring out some of the interesting textures in the beans. I enjoyed it quite a lot, actually. And this has like a medium roast level. So here it is. I already ground it. Some of it anyway. Really good stuff. So thank you, Eli. He also sent me a tape, which I think is his boss. How cool is that? Your boss is in a band, or a black metal band. I can't say that about my boss. So he sent me this 7 Chains tape right here. There we go. So glad it focused. Just by looking at it, you can tell it's some kind of weirdness, experimental, maybe something ambient, and you would be right. So this is a 2020 release. I think there's one more full length before this one. I think this is independently released as far as I know. And so here's the tape. So no need to focus there, it just says 7 Chains. And this is called Thus She Speaks, the Spiraling Maranatha. I'm not sure what that means. Probably should have researched this before recording. So, this is limited to 50. Again, very small scale stuff. And here's the fold out. It's a very obscured image. So basically, this is a drum set there. It says a bunch of stuff here. Here's the credits. Members are called Noah Lane Coleman, which I think is the main dude behind this. Ren Gray, Avery Strobel, Scott Yost. So Scott does bass, Chris does drums, Ren does cello. So Noah does vocals, guitar, piano. So you got a French horn by Avery. You got cello going on. So right away that tells you this is not your run-of-the-mill kind of black metal. This is, again, very experimental. There's a lot of ambience moments in this. Very wide open. So this caters to a particular kind of eclectic kind of listener. So if all you want is Dark Throne, this is probably not for you. But if you want something a little more interesting, I think they are on Bandcamp actually. So definitely check this out. You know, if this is your taste. I think that this would appeal to somebody who's, and this is just my opinion. I think if you like dark jazz, like the Kilimanjaro Dark Jazz Ensemble or the John Zorn stuff, I think you might find this interesting. I mean, just because your taste or your palate might cater to something a little more, with a little more complexity. It also came with this cool sticker. So, I'm not sure where we're going to put that. So, it's very cool. Also, these guys remind me of a sort of, with all the great experimentation and weirdness going on here. If you guys know a band, here, I've actually had the, if you know Chaos Echoes, so they're a French band. I don't think they're together anymore, but they do a lot of weird, very spacey, experimental kind of death metal. So I think if you like something like this, and your taste cater in that direction, this is something that you might enjoy. Alright, moving on. So, he also sent me, and this was actually something that was on my want list. Not sure if I told him that. So this is Sentient Divide, and this came out in 2020, so I think this is their second full length. So, this is Haunted by Cruelty. If you can see that. There we go. Focus is working today. Let me not jinx myself here. Okay, so there's 5 tracks. This is on Spotify. But this is a limited to 100 Pro CDR release. I can tell the moment I opened it too. It's just, it has that sort of, what you call that, really rough kind of a home printer kind of feel to it. So, 2 of the members of Seven Chains actually are on this band. It's this experimental black metal going right to this death metal. So the transition is very interesting. So that would be Strobel and Ren Gray. Avery Strobel and Ren Gray are both on this. Noah, the main guy behind this, did the artwork and layout for this. So he also did this, of course, did the artwork for this. So again, me being the artist type, I appreciate that kind of thing. A lot of you guys don't get into the art very deeply. I mean, you guys get right to the music and meat and potatoes. I get it. But, you know, this is what sells, right? Yeah, especially if you're doing blind buys. Gotta have the packaging. So, very cool. So that's the band. So this is listed as being from Spokane, Washington, even though these guys are from, looks like from Idaho. So I guess they reside between both places. Anywho, so this right here, very murky, very well done death metal. I was actually surprised that this was listed as independently released. Again, limited to 100. This shit needs to be picked up by a label. ASAP. I don't know what the hell's happening, but this needs to be on a label. And maybe it is. I think there's a vinyl for this. Again, I didn't look who put this out. But this needs wider circulation. Another important thing to note. So, the production. So, this was done at, what was it? So, this was recorded by, was it Earhammer Studios? And that's based in, I think it's Oakland. And basically, the guy behind that studio is Greg Wilkinson. So if you've been into death metal for a while, Greg Wilkinson is the guy who does like just fucking everything. Like, look at his credits list. This guy has touched all these West Coast bands. He has mixed, mastered, produced, done something with those bands out there in the West Coast. So Greg Wilkinson, mixed, mastered, recorded, mixed, and mastered by Greg Wilkinson. So why am I saying this? Because this is very reminiscent of Vastum. So if you like Vastum, this is up your alley. This is pretty fucking good. I love Vastum. These guys are pretty good, and they have that sort of am I saying they sound exactly like Vastum? No, there are all little differences going on too. But it's just to tell you the level of execution these guys have. Also, the fact that Greg Wilkinson has worked with Vastum, of course, that would spill as far as the what do you call it? The texture of the sound and everything would spill onto this. And I've heard the full length before this one, which kind of came out. God, I want to say 2017. It says it. 2017 was their first full length. So second full length, 2020. So it's been like what, 3 years? Something like that between releases. And Greg Wilkinson was not involved in the first, as far as I know. So you can hear a difference in sound, and compared to this one. So enough about that. Check out Sentient Divide. Really cool. So let's get on to the pickups. Okay, so where do I begin? I got a few Doom things I can talk about. So why don't we get started with the Death Doom stuff? Whoa, what happened to the lights? Oh, it's those spirits at it again. Well, is that a glowing record? Oh, they must have put that there. Those bastards. Ooh, starting to get worried there for a minute. Okay. I'll do this one first. So this right here is the Re Baried and Deconsecration split. And I'm sure everybody's have seen this. If you've been following death metal, especially the new stuff, this has been showing up everywhere on the socials. So, Re Baried and Deconsecration both put out their own demos last year. And this split is a nice marriage. This is a perfect, or exemplifies best, of what a split should do. So, being that they're both, I don't know how new you want to say they are, but at least they've been on my radar pretty recently. And they both come from Seattle, Washington, so the same city, and both looking to get a leg up on, their talents. This right here, again. So, here's the cover. So, before I move on to the cover, yes, this is the glow-in-the-dark edition. It's not actually haunted. I don't usually splurge for the glow-in-the-dark editions for stuff, but I had to try it out for this one. And you know what? People give a lot of shit for glow-in-the-dark vinyl, and that might have been true with the sound quality years ago, but there was no issue with this one. I thought it sounded fine. But then again, that's me not comparing it to, let's say, a black or something like that, which maybe it will sound better, but this was fine for me. So, I'm sure you've seen this. So, it's already got that supernatural element going on and everything, happening here. Here's the back. So, this was great for something that's, next to the glow-in-the-dark. I had to get it. So, here is the insert. And they use some pretty good stock. And it's not some flimsy, piece of paper. So here is the band. Very cool. And this was put out by Chaos Records. They did a good job. These guys nailed it. So, really happy to have this. amazing death metal. Check out their demos if you don't already have it. But the reason I bring these guys up is you're going to be hearing more and more of them, and as they put out more releases. So I can't wait to see what they do next. But fucking excellent. And you spirits, leave me alone. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention. So that Re Baried Deconsecration split also came with these stickers for each respective band. Thought it was important you knew that. So you know what you're getting. Okay, so I don't show many 7 inches because I probably don't pick up as much as I do, full lengths or 12 inches and everything else. I think a lot of channels also have that habit of not really showing off their 7 inches enough. But I will. This is actually a cool one. So this came out last year, and this is the Paradise Lost tribute. I haven't seen many people show this one at all. So this is a split by Grim Fate and Entrapment. So both from the Netherlands. And they both deal with death metal, death doom, doomier side of death metal, should I say. So came in this nice little sleeve, and there's the stickers with their logos. Okay, so right away that cover is going to look familiar because it's basically this. Spot the difference? So let me take it out of the sleeve. Maybe the focus will work better with me doing it that way. So here we go. Which one of these says, "Ho, ho, ho, I got a machine gun"?
I take my gun and I go, pew, 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 pew.
So it's 2 tracks. So Grim Fate does Rotting Misery, which is on the Lost Paradise album, which is the band's first full length for Paradise Lost. So it's pretty cool that they went all the way back to cover this song. And Entrapment did Rapture, and that one is off the Gothic album. So it's cool that they decided not to just cover this, two songs from the same album. They kind of split it up. But I thought this was a cool parody. You know me, I'm a parody guy. This was up my alley. Nothing much going on inside, other than telling you that it was put out by Dawnbreed Records, right there. So just a little kind of faded back image of the cover. Really nice touch with the machine gun. Now, Entrapment, I think it's a one-man project. I actually have, I think through Realms of Unseen, so I do have that CD, and that was pretty good. But I don't think he's doing any more. What's his name? I'll just pull it up here. Michel Jonker goes by that name, and basically does everything. Grim Fate is still active, and I checked out the releases. It's some good shit. I mean, if you're already to Death Doom, you should already be checking out this band. They're quite good. And I think they put out their first full length last year. So, really cool stuff. If you do like Paradise Lost, these covers are done very faithfully. I think Rotting Misery sounds very close to the original, where the Entrapment version of Rapture, it does have a more of a modern twist. You can tell in the production. So it doesn't quite sound exactly like the original song. So that is Grim Fate and Entrapment split. Next up is something that actually I just got in, and I actually forgot I ordered it. It's been so long since I put the pre-order in. So this is none other than the godfather of Dungeon Synth. So this is Mortiis with Spirit of Rebellion. So what's interesting is that this is his real name was Havard Ellison. I think it goes I'm not Norwegian, so hope I'm pronouncing it right. Mortiis is simple enough. So this is a gatefold. This was originally released early in 2020, and he actually started touring and before the pandemic hit. So, that went out the window. I wasn't able to finish touring. So as you can see, there's 2 tracks here. And this particular copy was actually released in February. So this is another run of an edition called Celestial Apocalypse. So let me just show you the actual record. So this is what they're talking about when they say Celestial Apocalypse. So it's got this nice orange sort of swirl, nice thick weight. You can see that. Hard to make out the label because it's brown on black, so it's really hard to see what's going on there. So right here we go. It says Arrow 1. So if you guys don't know Mortiis or have not been following him, he hasn't been just a dungeon guy for a while. He's basically, since the early 2000s, moved on to industrial, dark wave, dark ambient, So he's drastically changed his sound. And those were called Arrow 2, Arrow 3. I think he even did an Arrow 0 for a while. So the Arrow 1 stuff, he considers it, which would more known as the dungeon synth stuff. So I think that went all the way up to the 90s, up to that Stargate album. That Stargate album has a very unforgettable cover. So came with this printed inner sleeve. It says it right here, Arrow 1. There's the logo. So that's a sort of reworked logo. Pretty cool. So he wanted to go back and start doing more dungeon synth again, which is cool. The thing about this release is that he's been doing this since the very beginning, back in the early 90s. He left Emperor. You all know the story. And, he's got a lot of balls to leave Emperor and just be like, I don't know. I think I'm just going to go and do this dungeon synth thing. I'm going to wear a prosthetic nose and, pointy ears and you go in a dungeon. You guys have fun in your cold permafrost. So these 2 songs are not completely original. These songs are based off his 1994 release called, again, Norwegian. So, Anden som Jord Uproar. And that also had just the 2 tracks, and that's written in Norwegian. But over here, thankfully, it's in English. So, a Dark Horizon, Visions of an Ancient Future. So that's fun. It's funny. So it's modern reworkings of his old stuff. His old stuff is quite rough and raw. The original dungeon synth guys back in the 90s, that stuff was so new. They didn't have much to go by. I mean, yeah, you had Tangerine Dream. You had other groups who were doing something kind of within that vein, but they didn't outright call themselves a dungeon synth project like the way he did. But a lot of other, one man these are usually one man. Mortiis has had a kind of a proper band when he moved on to Arrow 2, Arrow 3. But with this stuff, kind of kept it to him, all the instrumentation to himself. So it's quite cool to see this. But these have, again, like I said, a modern twist to the 90s stuff, which I felt was a really good catch-up to what everybody else is doing now as far as the dungeon synth scene. So he wanted to kind of show, hey, I can keep up with you guys too, So really happy to have this. I just started getting into dungeon synth last year, so I'm not really quite that deep into it yet. So I'm slowly just kind of dipping my toes and getting familiar. So why not better than Mortiis, right? Got some funeral doom over here. So there's an album that dropped quite recently, actually, maybe beginning of April or end of March, by a band from Italy called Fuoco Fatuo. And that album was called Obsidian Catabasis. I don't have that one, because funny enough, I just found out about this band. I found them online, and that was their last album called Backwater. So I picked this up. I was all excited about it, and having no idea, right around the corner, they were ready to drop another new album. So I still got to pick that one up. So for now, I got this one. So I already thought it was quite amazing. So Funeral Doom, again, is not for everybody, but if this is up your alley, this is a band that reminds me of a lot of Invoking. So if you like Invoking and esoteric, you like that really deep, really kind of droning, punishing kind of Funeral Doom, these guys fit the bill. So they formed in 2011, and Backwater is their second full length, actually. And Obsidian Catabasis is their third album. So this right here tells you very much what the sound is kind of like. Just how dense, murky, and just, just how obscured it is. It's so obscured that they even make you work to look at the title. Look at it. So I'm glad I got this light on over here, so you can see that varnishing job. There you go. Now you can read it. So you go, oh, well, it ends there, right? No, sir. Right here. There you go. That album had a similar kind of treatment. So, come on. So, anyway, there you go. So you got the track listing there. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 quite nice and juicy, lengthy tracks. So even the damn credits are in that varnish treatment. They want no words printed on this. It's got to be all in that obscure sort of varnishing treatment. Mastered by James Cloken. Yeah, this shit. So anyway, so here's the disc. So it's a nice sort of tri-fold digipack there. Very simple. Everything here is simplicity. Even down to the disc. There's no track listing or anything like that. There you go. You can see the camera right there. So, very cool. If you have already picked up their new one, check out Backwater too. It's just as satisfying. So, this one right here, it's probably my favorite recent pickup that nobody seems to be talking about. So, there's a lot of these Death Doom acts coming out. You got the Woad. There's just a whole slew of these bands, that's making the circuit. This one right here, I don't know. Maybe because there's no vinyl for this. It's just from CD. And, it's not from Century Media or any huge label. But the distributor behind this is the same as this Re Baried Deconsecration split. And that would be Chaos Records. So this is Slough of Despair. Album is called Catacombs of Terror. And it's got a very sort of unassuming cover. It's kind of, just dark and obscure. And they are from Athens, Greece. Out of all places. So we got Panos on guitars, Valnias on vocals, Dimitris on drum and bass. If you can see that. It's quite shiny. So, not much going on here as far as the booklet goes. And, you know what? It's just some lyrics. And that's fine. But, it's about the music, right? Here's the disc. So, it's basically the same as the cover. So, it's, the graphic design is very simple. This kicks ass. I got this on Hell's Headbangers, and I was just one of those casual browse, and, I decided this looks kind of interesting. I don't know what I found so interesting about it that made me want to click it, but I did, and I'm glad I did. Now, these guys, they're death doom, but I almost want to say they're very reminiscent of Asphyx. If you like Asphyx, and they put out that Necroceros album that everybody keeps mispronouncing, and they remind me a lot of them, but just take their sound and just slow it down, like, I don't know what you call it, 2 or 3 measures. It's just to give it more of that more crunching, doomier side of it. Less of the death, more of the doom. But it still has quite a bit of the death going on. But definitely check this out. I'll leave a link. You will not be disappointed. Slough of Despair from Greece. One of my favorites, again, that nobody seems to be talking about. When describing certain kinds of music or bands, one of those terms is cavernous. I hear that a lot, and I try to avoid overusing that, even though that's kind of an easy reach. But this band, it's very appropriate, and I think it defines very well what cavernous music is. You could even tell by the name. So this band is from Toronto. So yes, they're Canadian. And I first discovered them in 2019, early 2019. And so this is before COVID. And through Bandcamp. Static Void Records, which is no longer active, put out a tape. It was 2 tracks. And, oh man. So this band is Chasmdweller. Very small batch. I want to say they only made about 25 copies of these. So I don't expect many people to have it, obviously. But I would still check them out on Bandcamp. Eventually a CD release was put out, which I'll show in a minute. So the 2 tracks was enough to get me hooked. It was exactly what I was looking for Death Doom. And this is dense, full of suffocating pressure. You're deep in the cave. You're not just sitting out there in the front and, you can kind of leap in and out anytime. You're entrenched in this. So, when the music kicked in, there was a dinner plate of ambience, almost dungeon synth. And the food is the rest of the music, sort of, on top of that dinner plate. Now, when the vocals kicked in, here, let me give you an example. So, remember the first time you heard Demi-Lich Nespith? And then when those vocals first kicked in, it was unlike anything you've really heard. It was kind of strange, interesting, but weird. So that happened all over again with Chasmdweller. And he had that sort of really gurgly, really just strange thing. But it was very weird, but it fit for what they were trying to do. And here. So, here's the old Static Void logo. You can see that. There we go. So, very simple J card. Very obscure. You can't even tell by the logo. So this is not about high fidelity. This is about putting you in that sort of, that darkness, and you're wondering if you can ever climb out of it. So, by the time they got picked up, so this was put out by Static Void, and then Cursed Monk Records out of Ireland put out these releases. So I ended up later in 2019 picking up that same that same tape. Again, limited run of 25. So I got the digipack of that same, so I could listen to it in the car. Look at that. The first EP demo, the same 2 tracks. So later that year, they dropped their first full length. And continue on that theme of that obscured, cavernous, just cavey. Here it's kind of like melting. So slightly more movement. And Cursed Monk Records again. So I bought these as a bundle, which must still be up on Bandcamp. I'll leave a link. And it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 7 tracks. Oh boy. Now, this one's not as dense as their demo, but It's still pretty thick. Still puts you in that place. And personally, I think this is their best material. It's my favorite of what they put out, which I also explain in a little bit. So, Caves of Endless Suffering. We can barely see here because everything is just dark. That is their longest track, and that'll exemplify their sound, idealized, what I like about this band. They remind me, I showed that demi-lich there. I hear a lot of Finnish influence. They kind of capture that soundscape of what they're trying to do, and it's sort of trapped here. I'm not saying they sound like Finnish death metal. They still have their own identity and sound, but they definitely capture that essence. So if you like the Finnish scene of what they do there regarding that, these guys are for you. If you like Death Doom in general, these guys have not been talked about a lot for some reason by the time this came out. So Invoking the Wrath of the Seventh Circle, really great listen. Still available. I don't think many of these have been made, but it should still be available because they have not had a lot of exposure. So there's another little label which I've come to become familiar with quite recently, called Life After Death. There you go. You can see much clearer now. So they put this out, and that was late last year, I want to say, and I had no idea this was coming out. So it's called Bacterial Lotus, and this is their second full length. So it was really cool to get picked up by a U.S. label here, because these two I had to actually order from Curse Monk through Ireland. So the shipping was not that handsome. But this right here, a continuation of what they have here. However, here I get more of an Infestor vibe. It's definitely faster, and this is the first time I'm hearing a little more experimentation with the vocals. So, besides that gurgling deep, just, suffocating vocal approach, there's some screeching happening. There's even a little bit of you hear a little bit of an ambient electronic sort of sound, but it's very faint and very light, just to add atmosphere, which I think really helps out with the sound. However, with each progressing release, it's not as pressurized, it's not as doomy as the previous thing that they dropped. So I'm just telling you that now, so you come to expect that. If you're trying to go back on their catalog, you're going to go, whoa, it doesn't sound like whatever I'm listening to now. So if you're going to go, previous to previous release. So is this for everybody? If you like really drenched doom death metal, these guys are great. This one here is still my favorite, but this is still pretty good. They just dropped April 2021 an EP, which is so far only digital, on Bandcamp, called Fossilized. The songs are shorter. There's only like 4 tracks, very easy to get through. Still more in line with this, although I think the Fossilized EP, it's a little more focused, a little more. I like the direction they went with that one. So this is probably one I'll return to the least, but it's still a really enjoyable listen. This is a great band. So before I check out, there's one thing you guys need to know. So the members of this band have another side project, which I don't know if that's going to be their main thing after Chasmdweller. It's called Malgoth. I'll also leave a link to that. So Malgoth is their sort of more black metal projects. Yeah, there's still little essences of death, but it's definitely more black metal oriented. And it's definitely more evil, than doom laden, like something like this. So there's no physical release for it yet, but they're being picked up by Iron Bonehead, which I think has some material coming out, vinyl in particular, in June. So look out for that if you like what you hear on Bandcamp for Malgoth. It's really cool that these guys are very versatile and can kind of handle both universes of death metal and black metal. So I definitely like what I heard. And their sound is very much of the kind of stuff Iron Bonehead puts out. So that is Chasmdweller. Okay, last one for today. So this is one of King Fowley's 90s projects. So besides Deceased, he took a crack at doom metal with a heavy metal flair. So I talked previously in another video of Steve-O of Ip and Tygo doing a Church of Misery. So why should he have all the fun, right? So King Fowley had this project called Doomstone. So this release is called Without Prayer. Came out in 2003. So really, it's a compilation of the two full lengths that came out one in 1994 and the other one in 2000. So those two full lengths are Those Whom Satan Hath Joined, and the one in 2000 is Satana Void. And looks like there's a couple more select tracks in here. But if you want to know Doomstone's material, this is pretty much the CD to get. You get everything here. Those other two full lengths have been long out of print. However, Lost Operations has reissued both full lengths back in 2017. But even then, you might be just better off getting the compilation here, so it's more bang for the buck if you happen to like this. So I think what he was trying to do is, and I don't know how seriously he took this project. Obviously, it was only the two full lengths, and between everything he was doing, they kind of stopped producing material for this. So maybe he figured maybe doom metal was not the thing he wanted to put all his time and effort into. But it sounds like he was having a lot of fun, and I think it was just that. I don't think it was something that he really wanted to put all his energy and everything into. I know he's got a October 31st, which is his heavy metal project. This right here, if I were to describe it, it's kind of like I don't know. It's like, imagine and I'm going to pull from the Italian guys, so the Death SS and put a little mortuary drape in there, and you kind of get this, it's just a little more watered down, though, it's got the humor in there, if you know King Fowley. So there's the CD. So it definitely captures that aesthetic. So, and it's got that sort of old timey Italian horror kind of thing going on. You can kind of tell. So very much 90s. The sort of, what do you call it, doom goth girl thing going on here. Lyrics. And just more stuff here. The actual credits. So he does. Here his credit is drums, keyboard. So he goes by the name Cross Turner Upside Downer. Black Lord does bass. Hellstorm guitar. Priest Killer does vocals. I don't know who that is. NASA 666 high strings on Welcome to the Ceremony. Another one called Porn Slut Tammy Ann moans on the track Ultimate Lust. Okay. So I picked this up on Nuclear War Now. I don't know if they still have this up anymore or anything, but it should be not hard to find. I think a quick look on Discogs or whatever, or eBay, should pop up. So thought I'd leave you with that. So that's it for this segment of the Dreadful Pickups for April 2021. So catch you on the next one, and keep it dreadful.